In this video for Positive Maths, we're going to look at some basic problem solving involving bills. Okay, so we're going to look at a gas bill. A householder's gas bill is charged in the following way. So there's a standard charge of $23.80. I'm going to underline that. There's 1,357 units at 24 cents per unit, and VAT at 10% on the total bill. Find the total amount of the gas bill. Okay, so really what I've underlined here is the three different parts that we have to consider. Standing charge, first of all, we can just add that in. The units and the VAT. Okay, so we'll put that in here. We have our standing charge, $23.80. Okay. The next thing we have to calculate is our total cost per unit. And then number 3 is our VAT. So we'll just create a little table there. Okay, so part 2. We have 1,357 units at 24 cents per unit. So what we have to consider first of all is that 24 cents is equal to 0.24 euros. We're looking for the cost in euros, so we must be careful that we do change that either before we calculate it or we change it after. So here we're changing it before. Okay, so we have 1357 multiplied by 0.24. So the total cost of the units is 325.68. So €325.68. So we'll fill that in here. Okay, the next part that we have to calculate is the VAT at 10%. So, it's the VAT on everything so far. Okay, so we're going to have 32568 plus our standing charge, okay, is going to give us the amount that the VAT is calculated on. So our total there so far is 349.48. So we need to find 10% of this amount. So we'll multiply it by 10%. And we get 34.948. So that is our VAT. Okay, now we have our standing charge, the price we're paying for our units, and our VAT, so we find the total of these three amounts. And we get 384.428. Okay, two things then before we really finish the question. We have to look at our units, so this is money, so it's euro, so we have 384. And whenever we're dealing with money, we always round to two places. So it's going to be 43 cents. So this is our total. Okay, the next question. We have an electricity bill. A household received a bill of €130.80 for the electricity used over the billing period. The bill included a standard charge of $22.20. If each unit of electricity cost 22 cents, we need to calculate the number of units used. So here it's almost like we're working backwards. Okay, so let's start off. We are breaking the total bill here into two different parts. We have the standing charge, I'm just going to have SC, plus the units. Okay, so whatever our units cost, plus our standing charge. So we're going to treat this like an equation. We know what the total is. So the total is 130.80. This is equal to our standing charge, which is $22.20, plus whatever we paid for our units, which we don't know yet. So how we're going to calculate our units the amount we paid for our units is we're going to take 130.80 minus our 22.20. So we're bringing this across and subtracting it. So when we subtract those two, we find that what we pay for our units is equal to €108.60. Okay, so that's not what we're asked for. What we're asked for is to calculate the number of units used. Okay, so if we have 108.60, okay, is equal to the number of units. Let's say it's equal to X is the number we've used multiplied by 22 cents. Okay, we're looking for X, which is the number. So we divide our 108.60 by our 22 cents. Now remember, we're going to change this to 0.22 because our full amount is in euros, so we have to divide it by euros, so 0.22 euro. Then we can find X, where X is the number of units used. So when we divide, we get 494 units, and that's rounded to the nearest unit. Okay, so if we just recap on that, we have the total minus the standing charge gives us the cost of the units. Okay, then we have the total cost of units divided by cost of 1 unit will give us the number of units used. Okay, 2 more problems. So if a kettle uses 0.5 units of electricity to boil, and on average it's boiled 4 times a day, calculate the cost of running the kettle for a year if each unit of electricity costs 13 cents per unit. Okay, so let's figure out first of all how many units it takes a year. So 0.5 units per boil. So 1 boil is equal to 0.5 units. Okay, so first of all we're going to figure out how many units per day. So it's 0.5 multiplied by 4, which is going to give us 2 units. So now we have to figure out how many units per year. So there's 365 days in a year. So that's 2 units by 365 days. That takes 730 units. Okay, but we have to find the cost per year. So it's 13 cents per unit. So we have 730 units multiplied by 13 cents. So again, being careful that we change it to 0.13. And we find 94.9. So this is money, so it's €94.90. So if we know how many units it takes to boil a kettle, the average number of times it's boiled a day, and the cost for each unit, we can calculate how much it will cost to boil the kettle for 1 year. Okay, so on to question 2. The cost of hiring a car is €50 per day and 35 cents per kilometre driven. So 35 cents per kilometre. If Tom hired a car for 5 days and drove 653 kilometres, how much would it cost him? Okay, so we have to figure out 2 different things here. The cost per day and the second thing is going to be the cost per kilometre. And then really we add these together to find the total cost. Okay, so if it's €50 per day, then it's going to be €50 multiplied by 5 for the cost per day. So we're going to get €250. The next part then is 35 cents per kilometre. There's 653 kilometres. Again, remembering it's 0.35 because we want to find it in euros. So that's a cost of 228.55. So then our total cost is going to be 250 plus 228.55. So the total cost is 478.55. For more information, you can visit www.PositiveMaths.ie. You can email us at info@PositiveMaths.ie and find us on